with just 24 days left until the 2024 presidential election, we're seeing an extraordinary shift in the political landscape, one that many experts didn't anticipate. Former President Donald Trump, who had been trailing in most of the key swing states, is now leading in all 7 crucial battlegrounds that are expected to decide the outcome of this election. This development has shocked political pundits and analysts across the spectrum, especially since only a month ago, Trump's chances in these states seemed slim at best. The timing of his resurgence couldn't be more critical for his campaign as we enter the final stretch before Election Day. A key election forecast from Paulie Marcus, one of the more reliable political analysts, now pegs Trump's odds of winning at a solid 55. This is the highest point his chances have reached since early August, marking a turning point for his campaign. It's important to remember that these kinds of changes in the polls this close to the election can be pivotal. Momentum is everything in politics, especially in the final weeks leading up to voting. And right now, Trump appears to have seized it. Today, we're going to take an in-depth look at the latest polling data and analyze how Trump has managed to flip these key swing states in his favor. But we're not just going to focus on the numbers. I'm also going to walk you through each of these battleground states individually, diving into the trends, the factors behind Trump's rise, and what this means for the outcome of the election. We'll explore the polling shifts, potential electoral impacts, and whether Trump's gains in these states will hold up through Election Day. To start, let's get a bird's eye view of the current electoral map. I've already marked which states are considered safe for each candidate. States that are not expected to be competitive and are almost certain to go to either the Democrats or Republicans. These states are important, of course, but they're not where the real action is happening. The focus is squarely on 7 critical swing states that will ultimately decide the outcome of this election: Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. These states are where the battlegrounds have been drawn, and it's these states that will tip the electoral scale. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. As things stand right now, Trump has pulled ahead in nearly all of these states, signaling that he's in a prime position to possibly secure a major electoral victory. It's worth noting that even though there are 50 states, this election will likely come down to these 7. The stakes couldn't be higher in the path to 270 electoral votes. The number needed to win the presidency runs through these battlegrounds. Let's break down each of these states and see how Trump's gains are shaping up and what we can expect in the coming week. We'll begin with Nevada. Trump has managed to edge out a slim lead here, with the latest polling showing him ahead by just 0.2. His surge in this state is significant, especially when you consider that Kamala Harris, who replaced Joe Biden as the Democratic nominee after his withdrawal from the race, had been leading here since August. A recent poll from the Wall Street Journal had Trump ahead by a solid 6, which has bolstered his overall standing. This shift is important because Nevada has traditionally been a tough state for Republicans. But as Trump's momentum builds, his path to victory in Nevada seems more likely by the day. If current trends hold, I believe Trump will narrowly win Nevada, probably by around 1 to 2 percentage points. It's interesting to compare this to the 2020 election, when Joe Biden led in Nevada by an average of 5.3 going into Election Day. Yet, when the votes were counted, Biden only won the state by 2.4. This kind of polling discrepancy is something we need to keep in mind. Historically, Trump's support tends to be underrepresented in the polls, which means his actual performance on Election Day could exceed expectations. If that happens again, Trump could win Nevada by an even larger margin than predicted. The betting markets are currently giving a slight edge to Harris, but it's essentially a statistical tie. Given Trump's momentum, I would argue that Nevada should now be considered a tilt red state on the electoral map, meaning that while it's still highly competitive, Trump is now the slight favorite to win. Securing Nevada would be a big symbolic victory for Trump, as Republicans haven't carried the state since George W. Bush won it in 2004. However, Nevada's 6 electoral votes, while important, aren't enough to clinch the presidency by themselves. It's more of a bellwether state that signals broader trends in Trump's favor, especially in the Sun Belt. If Trump can win Nevada, it could show that he's on track to outperform in other battlegrounds as well. Next, we move on to Arizona, a state that has played a crucial role in recent elections. Arizona famously flipped blue in 2020, with Joe Biden winning by just 0.31, a razor-thin margin. But now, Trump has regained the upper hand, leading by an average of 1. Poll after poll shows Trump holding on to a steady lead here, and Harris has struggled to close the gap since taking over the Democratic ticket. This is significant because Arizona was one of the key states that cost Trump the presidency in 2020. And if he can flip it back, it will be a major victory for his campaign. If you compare where Trump stands now to where Biden was at this same point in 2020, it's clear that Trump is in a stronger position. Back then, Biden was projected to win Arizona by 2.6, but he barely eked out a win by 0.31. This underperformance suggests that the polls were overestimating Biden's support. And the same dynamic could be playing out again in 2024. The betting markets seem to agree, consistently favoring Trump to win Arizona throughout the election cycle. While Harris did experience a slight post-convention bump in the polls, Trump quickly regained his lead. If current trends continue, Trump should be able to win Arizona by a margin of 1 to 2, possibly more if the polls are once again underestimating his base. The implications of an Arizona win for Trump would be huge. It would represent a key flip for his campaign, and it would send a clear signal that the Republican base in Arizona has rallied back after the 2020 law. I'm marking Arizona as lean red on the electoral map, meaning I expect Trump to win it by a small but significant margin. If he secures Arizona, his chances of winning the overall election go up dramatically. Now, let's talk about Georgia, another critical state where Trump has managed to pull ahead. Currently, Trump is leading by about 0.5 in the polling average. While that margin might seem slim, it's consistent, and out of the 9 most recent polls conducted in Georgia, Trump is leading in 7 with 2 showing a tie. This is significant because Georgia is a state that went blue in 2020 for the first time since 1992, with Biden winning by just 0.24. For Trump to be leading now is a major shift, and it's a strong indicator that Georgia's 2020 flip was an outlier rather than a new trend. Georgia has historically leaned Republican, and I believe that the state is returning to its roots in this election. Trump has been steadily building his lead here for months, and barring any unforeseen events, I expect him to win Georgia by around 2, similar to his margin of victory in 2016 when he won the state by 5 points. What's more, recent statewide elections in Georgia, like Governor Brian Kemp's re-election in 2022, show that the Republican base in Georgia is still strong and mobilized. This should play in Trump's favor as well. Polling in Georgia was relatively accurate during the 2020 election, so if Trump's current lead holds, we can reasonably expect him to carry the state once again. Betting markets are similarly optimistic about Trump's chances, giving him a 64 probability of winning Georgia. On my electoral map, I'm marking Georgia as lean red, meaning I expect Trump to win by a solid margin, further boosting his chances of securing a path to the presidency. Next, we head to North Carolina, another state that has been reliably leaning toward Trump throughout this election cycle. Trump won North Carolina in both 2016 and 2020, and he is on track to do it again in 2024. At the moment, he holds a 0.5 lead in the polling average, and almost all recent polls show him ahead. What's notable about North Carolina is how consistent Trump's lead has been. Even during periods when he was struggling in other states, he has maintained a solid lead here, which speaks to the strength of his base in North Carolina. Back in 2020, the polls predicted that Biden would win North Carolina by about 1.8, but Trump ended up winning by 1.3. This polling error suggests that Trump's support may have been underestimated, and the same could be happening again this year. Betting markets currently give Trump a 63 chance of winning North Carolina, and I think that's a fair assessment. One factor that could complicate things is the gubernatorial race, where Republican candidate Mark Robinson has been embroiled in controversy. However, I don't think this will significantly affect Trump's chances in the presidential race. Yeah, I expect Trump to win North Carolina by around 2, which would be slightly better than his 2020 margin. On the electoral map, North Carolina remains lean red, adding another crucial state to Trump's. At this point, with 4 swing states leaning in Trump's favor, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, he is getting dangerously close to securing the 270 electoral votes needed to win. But the next few states will determine whether he crosses that threshold. In Pennsylvania, a state that has always been hotly contested in presidential elections, Trump is now leading Harris by 1.5. This is a major swing in Trump's favor over the past few weeks, as Harris had been leading here by a small margin in early September. Pennsylvania was a key battleground in 2020, with Biden winning by just 1.2. But this time around, Trump has been outperforming Harris in almost every poll, and he's doing better in Pennsylvania than he was at this point in 2020. The latest polling averages show Trump up by 1.5, and betting markets are giving him a 58% chance of winning the state. If Trump can hold onto his lead here, Pennsylvania will likely flip back into the Republican column, marking a significant gain for Trump. Pennsylvania is crucial because it carries 19 electoral votes, and flipping it would push Trump over the 270 vote threshold needed to win the presidency. Given how closely contested the state has been in recent elections, this is a huge development for the Trump campaign. I'm marking Pennsylvania as lean red on my map, which, if the election were held today, would put Trump on track to become the front runner. Michigan, another key battleground, is showing similar momentum for Trump. Michigan had been considered a safe state for Harris just a few weeks ago, but recent polling shows Trump pulling into a virtual tie. This is a dramatic shift, especially considering that Harris was leading here by around 4 in early September. The betting markets have also taken notice. Harris's odds of winning Michigan have dropped from 68 to just 49. While Trump is now slightly favored to win, if this trend continues, Michigan could flip to Trump, adding another critical state to his column. I'm marking Michigan as tilt red on the map, which reflects the state's current status as a toss-up, but with Trump gaining ground. If Trump does win Michigan, it would be another significant victory for his campaign as the state holds 15 electoral votes. Lastly, we turn to Wisconsin, the final swing state in this election. Harris is still leading here, but just barely. Her lead has shrunk to a mere 0.3. Wisconsin is one of the most unpredictable states in recent elections. Back in 2020, Biden was expected to win in Wisconsin by 8.4, but he ended up winning by less than 1. Given how polling has missed the mark in this state before, combined with the trends we're seeing in neighboring Michigan and Pennsylvania, it wouldn't be surprising if Trump manages to overtake Harris in the coming days. If Trump wins Wisconsin, it would add to his growing electoral count and further cement his position as a frontrunner. In conclusion, based on the current polling and historical trends, Trump is on track to win 6 of the 7 key swing states, which would give him a decisive electoral victory. If Trump sweeps all 7 swing states, which is not out of the question given past polling errors, he could end up with over 300 electoral votes, a dramatic turnaround for the former president, who was trailing in many of these states just a few months ago. The momentum is now clearly on Trump's side, and all eyes are on these swing states to see if he can maintain it through Election Day. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates as we continue to track this historic election. See you in the next video.